Hello, everyone, and welcome to Rob Has a Podcast. I'm your host, Taran Armstrong, and I'm here today to recap tonight's episode of Big Brother 25. It was a Sunday night episode, the second to last, the penultimate Sunday night episode here. We're almost done with these late nights. And with me to talk through tonight's episode are some very special guests. Brian, how you doing, Brian?
Doing great. A little bummed my HOH letter to Matt didn't make the air. I've known him as much as Riley. I thought mine would have also made it. I don't know what's going on there, but I'm doing good.
Yeah, I mean, you feel that your feelings were mutual with him,
Right.
right?
I thought so. I thought we had something. I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess not.
It's I think fitting for you to be on this podcast here to talk with us about the Big Brother because it's essentially the challenge now, right?
Right. I mean, Matt's going to be dominating with Jag Challenge USA 3. So this is just all the preview for what we're going to see next fall for sure.
Yeah. Well, there we go. Well, also with us here tonight is Kirsten. How you doing, Kirsten?
I'm here in my house coat in honor of Queen Suri. I've got one for Jag, one for Matt, and a third for Bowie Jane.
We can't censor those live.
Oops.
Oh, no. What are we going to do? People are going to see the fingers.
Oh, no. People's sensitive eyes. They never saw Jared wiping the day bed with a Lysol wipe. I think they'll survive.
Weird that gets censored, to be honest. I don't understand it.
It's like, oh, I wonder what finger she's holding up. What a mystery.
Like, I've never seen a finger before. By itself?
Oh. Yeah, it's alarming.
Might as well be whipping out some ankles.
Next thing they're gonna see calf, you know?
Oof.
Can't no.
It's
That's
HBO.
That's HBO.
Gateway skin, right?
Well, we are here to talk about tonight's late episode of Big Brother 25. Late also in the sense that yet again it was delayed.
Hey, only 10 minutes. I'll take 10 minutes.
Yeah, it's just like it feels like the producers often feel like treat the show as an afterthought, but like the networks seemingly is as well.
I just don't understand why they can't. Like, maybe Brian can help us because he's like a sports dude, but like, how come they never know how long football's gonna take? Why can't they plan?
Well, the games weren't even that good, so it's not like we were delayed for a good game today anyway. So, I mean, I guess better than Big Brother, honestly. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. It is very frustrating.
Was the game as good as watching Olympians face off against 60-year-old women?
It's
pretty close. It was honestly very close. This was more dramatic if you didn't know what happened. But
what's so wild though to me is I don't know if CBS is also doing this or if it's just global, but like for them to put on an episode of Yellowstone that is old that could be watched on streaming with no commercials, just with commercials before Big Brothers. What a choice.
To be fair, that's also this episode, just watching the feeds without commercial. That's all you needed anyway. So,
well, I mean, the sad thing is that the Yellowstone, I think, is pulling in better ratings than Big Brother on Sunday night.
And I would like to talk to the people watching it to say, hey, did you know there's a thing called streaming where you could watch it with it's like we buy my dad like DVD box sets. He'd be like, oh, he loves watching NCIS. We'll buy him the DVD box sets. And then he'd just watch it on freaking A&E with commercials. I'd be like, you own this one. Like you could just watch the DVD.
It's Kevin Costner. What can you say? There's no turning away.
It's Yellowstone is just it's dad core, right? It's dad core television.
I mean, I've seen probably 15 minutes total, and it does seem like something my dad would
Very
like.
dad coded.
Yeah, super dad coded.
I think dads aren't quite yet into the streaming realm.
Not really. Yeah.
I mean, obviously dads, as in any dad is, but like dad, the concept still just, right. I think just a little too old.
Wow. Taran, you are going to get so many tweets. Taran is so ageist. He thinks dads don't know how to use streaming. And to anyone who's about to write that tweet to Taran, shut the hell up. Go outside and touch some grass.
Like my competition stats, the numbers back me up on this one. Yeah, Yellowstone is doing quite well on CBS. So So let's talk about this episode. I mean, we got some flashbacks to the double eviction. We got some flashbacks to prior to the double eviction. And then we had an HOH competition, one that I actually did like, even though I felt like the presentation of it went quite too long. And then a nomination ceremony. That's the episode. So thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time. I feel like the double eviction stuff didn't really do anything for me, mostly because it was just the same thing over and over, as in, "What? No, please, I'll do anything," and then being like, I actually don't even care what you have to say because I've already just, like, made the plan." Like, literally just who you are, you existing means I have to evict you because you're not a 60-year-old woman.
Um, I was alarmed to find that when Blue was talking to Sari right before the double, that it did bring a tear to my eye.
Yeah, the pre-blue eviction stuff was much more interesting than I
Yeah.
mean we got in double eviction. That was at least the conversations there were very, or at least compelling to some degree, not the America
Like
stuff.
there's some emotion there. At
Right.
least she recognizes that playing with Sari is an honor. Like, okay, that's cool. She certainly didn't figure it out herself, but if she wants to say that, you know what? Go live in your delusion era. It's fine.
Yeah, I feel like I saw that there were people that were definitely enjoying the blue stuff. I think that I was just too annoyed that it happened off the feeds for me
Yeah.
to like get invested in the moment. Just
Not
the
really.
fact that like, we got her being told off the feeds, we got her talking to Sari about knowing the secret, and that scene lasted like 20 seconds. Like why couldn't we have gotten this on the feeds? Because the episode version of it for me, just especially the fact, because like she's gone, she's been gone. Like
Mhm.
this is old. This is really old news at this point.
We're past it.
It just didn't quite land for me. Maybe that's a me problem for this one, but it's frustrating that these players wait so long. And then they have nothing to say too. They're just like, yeah, so yeah. I just have I just respect you too much. Don't mind all the footage of me trash talking you endlessly as a person and a human being. It's just that I respect you as a player too much.
Well, wait, is that not what you do with people that you respect? You don't just endlessly cut them down for who they are as a person? Because I thought that's how you show
Oh, yeah,
respect. Am I
you're
wrong?
right. Yeah, it's you respect them enough to not say those
Mhm.
things to their face, and just
Yes.
to the 99 cameras that are watching you
Yeah,
and
just to the whole
recording.
country and
Yeah.
other
Yeah.
countries.
It's hard to be mad though at Blue for like sharing it off camera or off feeds, obviously, because she probably would have done it maybe if she was like tipped off ahead of time. Like if she knew she was gone for like a full day, like she might have
Oh, I
had this
don't blame
conversation
Blue,
with Sari.
yeah.
Yeah, like it makes it even more frustrating from Jag and Matt to not tell her ahead of time. That way, maybe this could have been a more interesting dynamic if she tells Sari, and if it gets out, like maybe that does something with the
Well,
vote. I don't know, but it could have been like an interesting twist if she had more
but
time
to
to
be
know she was going.
fair, Sari
Yeah.
tried, you
Yeah.
I've already
know?
changed my mind. I do blame Blue. She spent an entire week not realizing she was being targeted
Like
when she was the obvious
Fair.
target.
she should have known. It's yeah, she should have known. She was given all the pieces and did not want to put them together. Again, delusion era.
I mean, they're all the same too, though. Like she literally, as you mentioned, goes out telling Sari, "He didn't tell me. I put it together," as though she's not gonna find out.
Right.
Like Jared tried this. She's now trying it. Like you're on camera. Like
It's gonna be an awkward Thanksgiving at the Fields house.
I kind of I can see through the warped mirror that is the logic of saying this if you're Blue, because Jared was so dedicated to this particular lie. It's kind of like showing extra loyalty to him to support his lie, even though it's obvious and will be found out, because she doesn't want to be the thing that breaks it. But I mean, that just further like sort of highlights the absurdity of the lie to begin with.
I also just like I don't think Saria's gonna care about this. What she's going to leave. She's going to block everyone she knows at CBS's phone number. She's gonna maybe change her phone number so they can't find her again, and she's gonna move on with her life. Like I don't think Saria's gonna be spending a lot of time like unpacking this experience once it's over. She's done. It's taken everything out of her.
It is crazy though, the loyalty Blue showed to the Secret. Like this house, they say they share everything about everything, and the fact that she held this together this whole time, I guess she didn't know it. I think there was still some doubt, like if she actually did remember that Sari was Jared's mom. The fact that she held this the whole time, knowing she was like almost going home, like so many different things. Like it is wild. She held this secret for this many days.
I mean, she showed that kind of level of dedication to actually playing the game. She might have been a good player.
Yeah. Loyalty was to Jared, I guess. I mean, good for Jared. Got a loyal one.
Well, we also saw America's turn at this, just promising the world. And again, just like a very telling diary room session from Jag. Like, I believed her before. Do I believe her again? It doesn't really matter.
There's no one else, right? I mean, you said it best. There's no one else. Like, I mean, if you're going down the competition ladder, that's all they really matter at this point. It's like they're going to keep Bowie, Sari, Felicia. It's down to America. There's no one left. Like, if there's anyone else in the game, I think America probably would have stayed or maybe had the veto user or something. But there's no one left. So it's just like, all right, process elimination. We're going to win everything. So it's like we get to pick the grocery list of when people go. So this is just, we're going to pick you this time.
Sorry, it's your time. We scheduled it. It's in the calendar. You can't move it. That's the way it is.
Yeah, it's like a reality show that I won't name where one person just is in control of the boot list and you just have to beg and plead for that person to keep you around the whole time. Not because they have any control socially, but just because they just have all of the power. And that
you can just say it's
wrong.
Big Brother the last 4 seasons, Taran. We all know.
So we get to the next HOH competition, and I did kind of like this. Again, I feel like it went on way too long. There were like 2 full segments of it.
So many balls rolling up a ramp.
It's like they finally have a comp that I'm like, this is actually interesting to watch, and they managed to like beat it into the ground. That I'm like bored by the end of it again.
But they still managed to have a structural problem of a competition at Final 5 that overwhelmingly favors the majority alliance and beats down the competition. So production got theirs.
Yeah, I mean, I get the logic, right? Of like you want people to show your cards here, you want people to like declare you're going after, but there's 4 people playing. There's only so many people you can like show your cards to. So it would have been just more dramatic and fun if you can like hit your own tile, hit someone else's you're not going after. Like it would have been a lot more dramatic and fun if you could just, you just throw it up and see what happens.
Truly just roll it up the ramp. Don't call your shot. Whoever you hit. People will at least be able to assume they're figuring out your kind of pecking order based on what you're hitting. And if you can hit your own, at least there's kind of more stakes as well. I don't know. I just feel like it was so close and they were like, no. But we can ruin this too. Don't worry.
I didn't mind it that much. I think that at the Final 5, there's obviously only 4 players. So even if it's like obviously the worst case scenario is if it's 3v1. But even that, then the 3 have to kind of turn on each other and show perhaps a little bit of their own hierarchy. And in this case, it was 2v2. And at the end of the day, it was just like Matt and Jag hit more things. What do you call them?
It just made me so sad to see, like, once again, Sari excelling at something only for it to go on long enough that, like, Jag and Matt can complete the learning curve and overtake her.
Okay, but
like, it just hurts, like, personally.
I know she may have only done it once, but why was she targeting Felicia even at all? Like that's crazy to me. Like I get it, you want to try to like spread it out a little bit, but like not when both Matt and Jag are still in it. Maybe you got one of them out, you can try to go for Felicia, but to do it there, I mean, it didn't really matter, I guess, necessarily, but that's just a wild move.
They have been in that house for so long, Brian. You expect them to make all their decisions good?
Sorry, I knew.
I do. I think it's important to like note that at this time, Cirie was still like 36 hours out from finding out that Felicia had been throwing her under the bus all week long and actively
Mhm.
seemingly trying to target her and get her into all
Yeah.
kinds of trouble. So like trusting Felicia with this HOH is certainly not something that she should have
No.
done at all.
Sure.
And on
And
top
Matt
of that,
literally just said, "You're never going up, ever."
yeah. And on top of that, like, there's the other element of this competition that I do think is kind of interesting, which is that, like, she's supposed to be in a Final Four with these people. And Felicia's supposed to be on the outs of that. So her targeting Jag at all is kind of an exposure of where she stands. And so if she just doesn't take a shot at Felicia at all, it kind of ruins the spot that she has and potentially opens her up to be targeted at the Final Five if that's a strong enough thing to break the Final Four. All that said, I still think it's a huge mistake.
Yeah.
I think that um, it's 2v2 in this comp, and Matt and Jag were going after Felicia anyway. I don't think she needed to take a shot at Felicia. I think that the way she wins this comp is by removing Jag while they're focused on Felicia. Just using Felicia as her shield in the same way that Matt was using Jag as his. I mean, this competition was a great representation of Matt and Jag's sort of partnership in the game. That like Matt used Jag as his sort of attack dog and shield in front of him. The difference is that in the game, people didn't perform well enough to actually remove Jag from the. Actually, they did. He just got to.
He
Right.
got to
He's
come
got to
back.
I was
come
gonna
back.
say it was so
Got
perfect
an
that
extra
Jag
life.
had one left, got knocked down, but nope. Production rule says Jag with one left can actually come right back into the game. It would have been perfect. He ended up winning, but no, that was perfectly played out.
Mm-hmm.
Ugh.
So we ultimately see that that Matt is going to take away the win on this competition, and now it comes down to, he gave Cirie his word. She she should be good. And we see this whole sequence that took place last week, at the end of last week, where after Matt told Cirie that he was wanting to take a shot at Jag at the Final Four, she tells Felicia about it. Felicia tells Jag about it. Jag tells Matt. Matt goes back to Cirie to ask her. And as we suspected, we get confirmation here. She somehow manages to convince him that she didn't say anything, despite the fact that it literally got leaked the same day he said something to her. And she's like, well, back on day 72, she said this one thing. Wild that he says he still believes her. But ultimately, we're seeing that doesn't particularly matter. What really matters is where does he go from moving forward from here? And what he tells us in the diary room is that he no longer feels like he needs to take the shot at Jag. And that's because he says in the diary room that he's now won a veto and he's won more things. And now he feels like he can beat Jag in the final two. Now, I can't say this with complete certainty, but if this doesn't really make a lot of sense to you, my theory as to why is that they seemed to intentionally leave out a hugely important piece from the double eviction, which was that after we came back from the feeds, um, or with the feeds, Jag and Bowie talked about how Blue had told them some information, America had been talking, and basically they got the sense that both America and Blue were more mad at Jag and not really as mad at Matt, and that they were Matt votes. And on top of that, they learned that Corey had said that Matt was playing the best game, better than Jag. And so with basically in one fell swoop, 3 jury votes heading toward Matt over Jag, Jag is becoming very worried about his own position. And Matt, I think, has become very confident in his own position. I think this is why Matt in the diary room is saying, I feel confident. I don't need to take the shot at Jag anymore because now I feel like I can beat him. It's because he found out all of these people are already leaning in his direction. On top of that, he has won some comps now. And so I think this has caused a major shift in Matt's perspective. Now, the problem Matt faces is that it's caused a major shift in his perspective, and I don't think he's quite realized that it may have also caused a major shift in Jag and Bowie's perspective. putting the plan that he's had in place for a long time now in some jeopardy. But the point is, he no longer feels he needs to take the shot at Jag. He feels like he wants to go to the end with him and Bowie, and that means he may need to go back on his word to Cirie and use her as a pawn to take out Felicia.
I do think, though, the logic of him winning a couple of comps and taking some of that, because I think for Matt, before that information might have come to him, I think for Matt, like the fear of going against Jag is like, if Jag wins like 10, 11 comps, he's like this mega comp threat. At a certain point, maybe he thinks the jury feels like they just have to give him the win because he's won all this stuff, he's done all this stuff, no matter what they may feel about him. But if Matt like knocks at that a little bit, he's now got a couple more comps. Jag doesn't have as many. He's now carried Jag through a couple rounds. I do think that logic makes sense that like, all right, now I'm more likable than Jag. I've never been evicted than Jag, and now I'm catching up a little bit in comps, so I should be easily get the leg up on him. So even without that other information, I do think him taking some of the stigma away of like Jag having so many comps, if they're playing that way, like, oh, whoever has the most comps is going to win. I do think that logic for Matt makes sense. That like, all right, now I don't have to worry as much about Jag.
Okay, but imagine this, okay? He takes Jag out of the game. Jag has no more opportunities to win more comps. Matt has 2 opportunities each cycle to win one or possibly both competitions. His number of competitions goes way up, and he took Jag out of the game.
Sure.
I
Sure.
like that better if I'm Matt.
But if he thinks Jag is like so loyal to the Minutemen, and he would take him to the 2, like he probably doesn't think maybe like Felicia or maybe like Cirie probably would, but maybe Felicia wouldn't. Like for him, now Jag isn't much of a threat. If Jag takes me to the end, that's great. Now I can still beat him.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about Matt's position here is that he's completely right. Or at least he was like, 24 hours before he comes up with this conclusion, right? For the last like 50 days, that's been the right move to go to the end with both Jag and Bowie, because as he says later in the episode, they were both taking him to the final 2. That's seemingly what they had both always planned on doing. He was always closer to Bowie than Jag was. And Jag had always talked about going to the end with Matt. Now, there was a hint that Jag might consider some other options when he said in the diary room that Bowie was easy to beat. But given that he was winning so many competitions, I think he did feel fairly confident that he would have a good shot against Matt. And I think that Matt was set up very well with a Jag and Bowie final 3 to be taken to the final 2 no matter what, which is what he thinks he's got now. The problem is that he went 50 days feeling that way. And just like that, things can shift. And after Jag finds out this information about the jury, he's all of a sudden considering some other options, perhaps. And that means that Matt needs to change his strategy. Because ironically, keeping Cirie and potentially bringing Cirie to the final 2 was always his biggest mistake. If he had brought Cirie to the final 3 and cut Jag for Cirie, we would have said, what an idiot. You had Jag beat. You took Cirie, and now you might lose because you took Cirie. And so he's finally seemingly corrected that mistake and no longer wanting to go to the final 3 with Cirie, but he corrects it just in time for his other path to have vanished before his eyes. And so here we are with Matt in the final 5, thinking he wants to go to the final 3 with Bowie and Jag, and because of that is willing to burn his relationship with Cirie by putting her on the block.
I could see if it was a final 3 with Bowie, Matt, and Jag, I could see Bowie taking Jag. But from everything about Jag, like I understand, like he wants to win. He would feel he would beat Bowie, but the way he's been playing, like the way they don't want to like they will try to be so nice or not blindsiding people, not like going against like his like closest ally. I find it so hard to believe that that Jag could stand up there at final 3 and turn to Matt and say, I'm evicting you and I'm taking Bowie. I just find that so hard to believe. He can talk about it as much as he wants, push them to Cove. I don't think he's got it in him to do that. I think he will just take Matt to the end and hope he has the votes. But I think
you will.
I don't know. I just don't know. I also wonder, like, how bad burning Cirie could be with regards to the jury. I feel like she could have a lot of influence there, and she's tired. She might not have the energy to be a good sport, and I would respect that from her, you know? Like, she's exhausted.
Yeah, I mean, it's without Cerie's vote, Matt's win over Jag is less guaranteed for sure. I do think that Matt has at least Corey and America locked up. But with Cerie going to the jury early, if she is
Mhm.
anti-Matt, she could flip blue.
Yeah.
And then if they have Cam too, then all of a sudden they've got 3. They would just need Felicia. Jag would just need Felicia or Bowie. Now, if Jag wins and cuts Bowie for Matt, I don't know. And Felicia is currently not Team Jag whatsoever, and would seemingly not want to go in that direction either. But it does mean that like things could be a lot closer. Perhaps if Matt wins and takes Jag, that could be enough to keep Bowie on Team Jag and maybe get that 4th, or even maybe a 5th or more votes, because I don't think Corey or America would respect the move to take Jag over Bowie, nor would I think they would respect the move to take Matt over Bowie. So I mean, I think this end game looks a lot like Big Brother Canada 2, where I think a lot of the jury is going to talk about like they need to cut each other if they want a chance. Whichever one of them takes the other will lose. And if they don't take Bowie, they're stupid. And so we're looking at it from that lens, I think.
Has either Matt or Jag approached Bowie about an actual final 2? Obviously, Bowie's talked about a lot about their final
Well,
3, but has either of them approached her about a final 2 directly?
we can talk about that in spoilers.
Okay.
Um,
I was trying to get there early.
Brian's like, okay, come on, let's go.
Minuteman, the clock is ticking. Come on.
So I do want to say one more thing on the Cerie end of things or side of things when it comes to being nominated here. We saw that she really tries to do this sort of guilt trip on Matt in her conversation with him in the kitchen, and then later up in the HOH room. He did not appreciate that. He didn't like it. And I think the biggest mistake she makes is that it did seem like, based on the edit, based on his diary rooms, that Matt really was a bit conflicted the night he won. That he was really willing to go both ways. He said to Cerie, I'm putting Bowie up. He said to Bowie, I'm putting Cerie up. The difference, I believe, the thing that made the difference, and you don't really see it in the episode, is that after that conversation with Cerie, a pretty brief one, she goes to the comic room. She talks to Felicia. She goes to bed, pretty much. They then go do the HOH room reveal. You even saw, I think, in that segment, Cerie is not quite as animated as the other players up there. She goes back to bed afterward. Bowie and Jag were up until like 5 or later in the morning, celebrating with Matt, talking with Matt, going over everything with Matt. You saw a little bit of that in this episode where Bowie was talking about how like, and we haven't even done anything shady. And that was their entire night, just talking about what great people they are, how everybody else has been shady, but not them, how everyone else is a snake, but they've never lied, and how they've made such a great team. And this is the final 5 they wanted all along. And look at what happened. They can't believe it happened. It played out this way. And they just for hours and hours went in circles about that, and talking about how, it's the 3 of them. And obviously Bowie's not going to go up on the block. And after hours and hours and hours of that, Cerie couldn't compete. She should have been up with them. She should have been celebrating with them as a final 4 and not allowed them to celebrate alone as a final 3. That is a huge critique of mine on Cerie here. I think it's a huge missed opportunity. I do think there was an opening to get Matt to turn on Bowie over her here. But just leaving him alone for so long and allowing this trio to solidify even more, I think it was basically the final nail in her coffin. By the time she woke up the next morning, the decision was made and there was nothing she could do.
I do agree with that. But I also just want to say, if Matt is so mad about being guilt tripped, then he shouldn't do things that he should be feeling guilty about. Like, don't tell anyone, oh, you're absolutely never going up in any circumstance. if you don't know that you can keep to that word, because it's just going to leave a bad taste in anyone's mouth. I think if he doesn't say that, Sari's still going to be annoyed, but she at least hasn't been lied to straight to her face.
Yeah, I don't know if Sari will be like bitter, because I think even Sari knows like if she gets to the end, she's gonna win. So I think she kind of would respect Matt for like understanding that. Maybe like not about how he goes about it, but I think Sari knows like someone has to take me out, just like I have to take them out. So I don't think she'll necessarily hold it against him. But if only Felicia bedtime like enforcement was even more come into play, everything would have worked out for her.
We talk about this a lot, but guilt tripping basically never works. Usually has the complete opposite.
People don't like
effect.
to be
Yeah.
reminded of the things that they should feel guilty about.
Exactly. You know, guilt is a weird thing in that it usually, people think of guilt as the thing that prevents you from making decisions that would make you feel guilty. Like, oh, I feel guilty about this thing. I want to make up for it, or I want to not do that thing again. Usually, it's the opposite. It's this negative feeling that makes you want to defend yourself against it. And how do you defend yourself? By doubling down on the behavior that caused it, justifying it as much as possible to avoid the negative feeling of guilt. And if there's a person attached to that guilt, somebody that's reminding you of this hurt that you feel, or maybe even applying pressure on it, great, you have a new enemy. You have a new person to discredit. You don't even have to discredit a feeling anymore. Now you can blame it all on the person. They're making me feel this way. It's their fault. And so certainly in the game of Big Brother, guilt tripping is very, very ineffective. And in real life too, I think it tends to be very ineffective.
I
But,
was gonna say I'll go as far as to say don't do it in real life either.
certainly
It's
don't
not
do
gonna
it.
work.
I think there are like cases where it can work more effectively in real life than in Big Brother. In Big Brother, the situation is too transactional. It's just never going to play out that way. But it's not something you should do in real life either. And the efficacy of it in real life is also very bad, in my opinion. So that's Suri and Matt. But wait, somebody had a message for Matt. Who could this be? Who's that in his pictures? Oh, it's Riley. Guys, you're not
Here's the thing.
giving me excitement right now.
I love love. I love love. I hate this.
Do
This
you?
is so annoying.
Ooh,
I'm so irritated. I just don't care. And I like honestly, if they have feelings for each other and they're gonna go good, be happy. I'm not gonna like poo-poo that, like have fun, be in love, whatever. It's just been so long since Riley's been relevant to my life, you know? Like she just doesn't matter to me as a viewer of the show because she's been gone so long. That I'm just like, I don't care. Like I could see her on the street, I wouldn't know a thing, you know? It's over.
I know a lot of people
me.
have said this on Twitter, but like, if Riley was never evicted week 2, like the cult of Riley would have just been taken over this season. What a different season this would have been if Riley was here. Like she would have been dominating with all the guys. Thank God they actually got her out, because otherwise
Tyson was right.
we had some type of season.
I mean, she's still relevant to me as the woman who won the most amount of physical competitions this season. One.
It's a tie.
No, what woman has won a physical
yeah.
competition?
In my brain,
Wait, Blue counting the seconds, that's physical. I think that's physical.
in my brain, I keep putting Blue as having won the spinny thing, even though Jag won it. Like, just to me, in my brain, Blue won that one and Jag won the other one, even though that's not factually true.
Yeah, also, I personally wouldn't. Yeah, I'd say the balance beam is a mixture of skill and physical. So yes, I'd still call it physical. But
Yeah.
Didn't everyone say they basically threw that? Also, did everyone also say like they were?
yeah, we don't have. Listen, we don't have to talk about the throwing.
Hey, you know what? I don't know why you have to discredit the one physical win by a woman on this season,
Sorry,
Brian.
sorry,
What are you
sorry.
saying?
It was very well earned. I apologize.
Oh,
Riley would be
boy.
great for the Chaz also, by the way. Bring her on too. She'd be great.
So Riley, I liked how this was portrayed too, where They showed one photo of Matt's family and then quickly went to, and look who else is here. And I've seen a lot of critiques of this. I've seen a lot of like, why is he getting a letter from Riley and not his family? Like, this is so cringe. Like, I can't believe. Listen, this is way better than a family letter. This is way better than family photos. This is something to talk about. This is something to cringe at. This is something that's super boring in the show. Usually, they barely ever even show it because of that. Throw a former player into the mix, and now we're running. This was a huge topic of conversation. This was one of the biggest topics of conversation all week. Because what else is there to talk about? Can you believe Riley wrote a letter to Matt, and now he's saying, "Well, I guess I have a girlfriend."
Like, just because she said she likes you too doesn't mean you define the relationship, Matthew. And also, you can't just call yourselves rat and think that it's gonna be all good with everybody. It's horrible.
At least it's not Comerica. At least not a corporation. But yeah, I don't know.
I think Comerica is better than rat.
I wish she had snuck in the word promise into the letter at one point.
I mean, look, I like Kirsten said, good for them. I hope they're happy together, but it was a little much. But I think Matt appreciated this almost more than the letter from his own parents. It seemed like the high he got off that seemed pretty
Yeah, he's
incredible.
excited.
Okay, I've got like a take here. I want a true or false on this.
Okay.
True or false? Matt and Riley got more serious showmance content than Corey and America this season.
True.
Right?
Easily.
Like AmeriCorey was never presented on the show as like a serious romantic relationship. Like, they're not serious people. Like, they're pretty jokey. So I guess I kind of get it. But like, by the end, they're saying they love each other. They're boyfriend, girlfriend. Like, they're in a genuine relationship. They've spent more than 2 weeks together in the last 100 days. There's a lot more there, but I think that Matt and Riley is more in line with the showmans that they wanted, production being they. And so they will get treated as like the second coming.
I mean, Matt called Riley his girlfriend more on the show than Corey and America called each other boyfriend, girlfriend on the show. So it's definitely more real.
There you go. Well, man, was there anything else from the episode that we should talk about?
I do think that they did one of the weirdest and worst editing tricks I've seen in my life in this episode, where Felicia is like, "Oh, they're gonna do to me what they did to Blue," and then it flashes to Blue's photo grayed out, and then Blue's voice going, "Boots down, sister."
In the ghost voice.
It was really weird. One of the worst things I've ever seen in my life.
And Felicia getting not the best confessional being like after her and Suri up. I don't think our final four is real. I'm getting the sense that maybe that's not real.
Oh, Felicia.
Like, really?
I also liked.
So?
I liked when Felicia got eliminated from the HOH and went, You can't get any hugs. You don't get no hugs.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Well, let's get into some spoilers then. We'll answer Brian's question.
Yes.
As we talk through some spoilers.
The Office of Civil Defense has issued the following message. This is
a spoiler.
Warning.
A spoiler.
Warning means that an actual
spoiler
against this country has been detected and that protective action should be taken.
All right. So, first, the veto was won by Jag.
What a surprise. I can't believe it.
We've talked about this a little bit. This is Jag's 8th competition, 7th competition win post being evicted. And he is on his way to being immune from the final 9 to the final 2 as long as he wins at the final 4 and the final 3. Except for the final 6 double eviction, which of course would exactly mirror both Casey and Jackson, who had the exact same immunity record from Final 9. And this also means that there's no shot at a shot being taken at Jag this week. He will be competing in both the Final 4 HOH and veto. So he has 3 more competitions to play in. At the very least, he has 2 more competitions to play in. It would just take 2 to kind of break the record. And if he wins all 3, then he would fully sort of break the single season / don't get evicted record. So Jag is safe. And that means that it's going to be, he's not going to use the veto. It's going to be down to Felicia or Suri. Now, Brian, you asked, has anybody approached Bowie for a Final 2? Yes, Jag has. Jag has made a Final 2 with Bowie, basically immediately after finding out that Corey thinks that Jag is playing a worse game than Matt, and that both Blue and America went out talking about how they weren't mad at Matt, but they were mad at Jag. He has now made a Final 2 with Bowie, saying that he knows that Matt cooks them both in a Final 2 jury vote. And he is still promising Matt that he will bring him, but he has also made a Final 2 with Bowie at this point. And Bowie, who again had been closer to Matt, has been spending the week downstairs with Jag in the scary room, while Matt has been upstairs in the HOH room. So Matt, again, was not wrong to say that both Jag and Bowie were taking him to the Final 2. He just doesn't realize that that's changed and is no longer quite the case. Now, of course, with all that said, you would say, and this is what I said at the start of the week, keeping Suri becomes all the more vital for Jag, for Matt, I should say, if he wants to get to the Final 2. If he wants Matt to still take him to the Final 2, because Jag is afraid of going to the Final 2 with Suri. However, after Jag won the veto, he talked with Matt, and he said, I think that Suri should go. And Matt essentially was like, that's fine. It's whatever. And I think this episode has illustrated why he gave in so easily, because he's already given up on the idea of bringing Suri to the Final 3. He now feels like Jag and Bowie are the best 2 people to take to the Final 3. So what does it matter if Suri goes at 5 or at 4? He might as well just let her go now and then head into the Final 4.
Interesting. Do you think this is now setting up for Jag? Let's say they take out Felicia at 4. Do you think would Jag throw the final if it's like him and Bowie up there, or even him and Matt up there? Would he
I should hope not.
I don't think Jag has throwing competitions in him. Because he's done a lot that he didn't need.
I mean, Jag still needs to, unless Bowie wins and takes him,
right.
Jag still needs to win. He still can't afford to sit next to Matt if he can help it. I think Matt taking Jag after betraying Suri is the worst case scenario for Matt's jury votes, but Jag's ability to beat Matt is way too up in the air for Jag to ever take the risk. He should 1000% be winning that HOH and taking Bowie to the Final 2. That is his win condition. And it's basically been his only win condition for a long time. And so, he just needs to keep winning the comps to get there.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think there's any chance the jury would almost resent that they drag Bowie along so much as such a goat that just to spite Jag, they would just vote for Bowie to give Bowie the win? But like, screw this, screw taking the goat. Let's just give Bowie the win.
It's been talked about specifically by like Felicia, but it's not like a Big Brother 16 situation where there was a pact made to vote for Victoria, where even that probably wouldn't have even amounted to anything. I think that the people who are talking about that now, they'll get to the jury house. They're not going to follow through, would be my guess. There's just, and the thing is, I think they might have, if Bowie hadn't like completely tarnished her reputation in the game. There was there was a moment in time there prior to the double eviction where there actually was a decent chance that Bowie could beat somebody like Jag in the final two. She just needed to make a decent case. Jag needed to keep pissing people off. And she could win on a bitter jury or something like that. But the problem is she's been such an enabler to Jag that this isn't like a Josh and Paul situation where Josh is seen as a viable alternative to Paul because Josh has been trashing Paul in his goodbye messages. This is a situation where Bowie has been just like endlessly talking about what good people they are, and fully like supporting Jag and Matt's reign. So I don't think that she can really get there unless Suri committed to this. If Suri, Felicia, Suri pulls in Blue, like all of a sudden you've got a shot if you can get a bitter Matt on board as well. Like it's not completely impossible, but it would require all of them to commit to such a path, which seems hard to see.
Yeah.
And like at the end of the day, people mostly just vote for the person they like the best in general, and nobody likes Bowie the best.
Yeah, and that's the one of the biggest things for Jag is like even him like turning on Corey, turning on America, even their way out the door, they're still like they still like him so much. Even America, the way she was like pleading with him and like joking, but like, even still like joking with him, right after like she was nominated on the block. So like he still was able to keep those friendships with them. That like those two could have been like ones that he tarnished forever, and just to spite him, they would vote for Bowie. But I don't see either of them doing that. But yeah.
Yeah, and I'll still say this, like, I am certainly not Team Bowie at this point. I think that she's made some terrible mistakes here in the end game, but I do think it's still important to recognize that, like, she has a much harder path than Jag, both because she's a woman and because she's won fewer competitions than him. The onus is put on her. If she supports her allies, if she takes out a player that is weaker in competitions than her ally, then it's seen as her giving up the game for this man. If Jag takes out Felicia over Bowie, even though Felicia is worse at competitions, that's seen as him playing smart. And that means that Bowie is put in the worst position of having to betray her allies where Jag doesn't really have to. Betray her allies that are very good at competitions that could easily strike back, and have to jump to a new place that doesn't have a place for her. If Jag had been put in that, I mean, if Jag was in that position, if Jag was in a spot where he can't beat Bowie or Matt because he just isn't seen as that good, then his position in the game would be considerably worse. And all of these moves that he'd be making would be seen as terrible, awful moves, despite the fact that they're getting him to the end in the same way that Bowie's moves are getting her to the end. Which is, again, not to say that Bowie is good at this by any means, but it's very important to recognize these factors when we're talking about players in the game, and the way that we will go in on Bowie for enabling Jag as though Jag is the only person that's like playing the game or allowed to play the game, and everyone else just has to do everything they can to stop him, which is not really fair to them if you see it that way.
And I think things really could have been different for Bowie and for everyone if Bowie had been treated differently in the game. Bowie was never really seen as a serious player for a lot of the early game. It's really hard to change people's perspective of you after they feel that way about you. And I think that if Suri and Felicia had been consistent about putting in work with Bowie Jane, things would be different. If they hadn't blindsided her with the red vote, things would be different. If anyone had extended a hand to Bowie early in the game, like I take you seriously and I want to play with you, maybe things could have been different. I don't think that Bowie Jane is ever going to be the type of person for whom the game is the primary motivation of being in the Big Brother house, but she wasn't really given that opportunity to show it because nobody pulled her in and really held her there. Like when Suri was doing well with Bowie Jane, she was doing good with Bowie Jane. But then there's times when Suri's tired and she doesn't want to put in that effort with Bowie Jane anymore. And I think that was a huge blind spot.
Yeah, Bowie just seemed like one of those like like she could have fit on like Survivor like season 5. She just wanted to be part of like a large alliance, part of a team, and just do what she wanted to do to just get to the end. She just wanted to be part of a group, and she thought she had a group with like Red and stuff, and that fell apart. And then she was looking for a home. Corey kind of had her for a little bit, but he also didn't really come into power much to like solidify it even more. And then Matt and Jag able to like keep winning and show loyalty, and then she got her home right there.
Yeah. So that's what we're looking at here, moving into this week's eviction. Right now, it seems fairly locked in that Cirie will be voted out at the final 5, and we will head into the final 4 with Matt, Jag, Bowie, and Felicia. Now, the final 4 HOH will have 3 competitors: Jag, Bowie, and Felicia. And the real question at that point becomes, is there any physical component to it? If not, then Felicia has roughly an equal chance. If so, Felicia can't win. So like any other competition this season, we will see. Of course, Felicia winning that HOH would lead to the most interesting result, which would be a final 4 veto, where one of Matt, Jag, or Bowie has to be evicted. And that's where things start to get a little sketchy. Jag may have to make his choice between Matt and Bowie a little bit earlier than he anticipated, and things could really go awry at that point. Theoretically, Felicia could still win this game by winning the final 4 HOH and the final 3 HOH and taking Bowie to the final 2. But wouldn't it be great to live in a world where that was actually possible?
With the faith of a mustard seed, I am here waiting and ready.
In the wild scenario where Felicia wins final 4 veto, or even somehow HOH and veto, like, who does she want? Does she want Jag out or Matt?
She would take Jag out, yeah.
She wants Jag out.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, that's been the case all season long. A lot of people will point at this week and say, haha, Jag has clearly been playing the better game than Matt all along. But what they don't realize is that, like, just because a thing didn't happen doesn't mean it couldn't have. And for the last 50 days, Jag has almost always been one wrong competition outcome away from being evicted over Matt. And that still remains the case even now heading into the final 4. So we'll see.
If Matt catches wind of Bowie and Jag's final 2, would he keep Felicia at 4? Like, is he the most likely person that, if he was in power, would not cut Felicia there?
That's what he should do, right. Knowing what we know. If he finds that out, he may come to that conclusion. But right now, it doesn't seem like he knows enough to do that. A potentially game-winning move for Matt would be to cut Bowie at the final 4 if he can't cut Jag, because cutting Bowie kind of forces Jag to take him to the final 2. And at that point, Matt wins the game. Because Jag is also worried about taking Felicia. He's worried he can't beat Felicia, and potentially rightfully so. I mean, there are definitely some theoretical votes for Felicia there. I mean, he's worried about the Bowie votes. The real question is, like, does Cirie even vote Felicia? I think that Jag beats Felicia, but he's a little worried about it. So he may take Matt. This is why keeping Cirie over Felicia would have been a lot better for Matt, because then he could have taken the shot at Bowie and forced Jag to take him to the final 2. But instead, he's having to rely on the loyalty of Jag, which might not stick at this point.
If and when Cirie goes, does production want her to? Do you think production wants her to keep her secret until finale night to reveal it to like everyone, or do you think she's just going to be telling people about Jared in the jury house?
I think she'll be. We talked about this the other day, that I think that they'll have a conversation with her about it. She'll probably talk about it in the jury house when the cameras are there, and then they'll also have a reveal for the final 2 on finale night. They'll milk it as much as possible.
That'll be fun.
Agreed.
That'll be fun. Can't wait to see Corey's reaction. That's gonna be the best part.
Yeah,
that's gonna be the best one.
All right. Well, anything else that we should talk about before we wrap up here?
Since I'm not going to get another chance to talk about the season, I just want to say once more on the record that, even though she didn't play perfectly, even though it could all be coming to an end, it has just been so special to get to see Suri work on the live feeds. And to anyone that hasn't been having an absolute blast with that, why don't you like Joy? What is wrong with you? Et cetera, et cetera. And I just like, how lucky are we in the year 2023 that we got this experience? I just want to put it on the record one more time because I won't get to talk about the season again.
All right. Well,
Seconded.
that's what we have for you then tonight. I'll, of course, be back tomorrow morning, 11 a.m. Eastern, to update you on everything that happened, and will happen today on the Big Brother 25 live feeds. And then tomorrow night, the roundtable. We will rate these players and rate the season. Not many more of these left. Just the penultimate roundtable of the season. And I'm sure there's lots to talk about there. I think that's probably the most eventful podcast we'll have in the week. So make sure you tune in tomorrow night for that. And then Tuesday night, a Halloween episode. I'll be live on Twitch, twitch.tv/Taran Armstrong, watching the episode live with all of you, and we'll recap it all on the podcast. And then that's it. The live show in LA, in Brea, Wednesday night for Survivor, and then Thursday night for Big Brother. So if you haven't gotten your tickets yet, make sure you do so. Really, the only way to round out the season is to come and hang out with a bunch of people to either commiserate or celebrate, perhaps, the ending of the season, and maybe hang out with Taylor to remind yourself of how good seasons end. So check all of that out. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter and all that stuff as well. Brian, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter, Cohen Brian _ Ali and I are talking about the Challenge 39, premiered last week. Season going along right now, so you can catch that on robertswebsite.com/challenge feed.
All right, and Kirsten?
Yeah, so you can catch me and Sasha Joseph on Mess Magnets, talking pop culture, celeb gossip, trending topics. And you can catch me and Jenny Autumn on the Hot Dummies on Island Speed, talking about F-Boy Island Season 3, which has been great. And as well, this week, the new season of Love Island Games is also starting. So Brian Scally and I will be covering that as well. Not Brian Cohen, Brian Scally. They are two different people.
We're the same people.
And you can follow me everywhere at Kirsten Said What, including twitch.tv/Kirsten Said What.
All right. Well, thank you all so much for joining us here tonight. And we will see all of you